Just one thing, since I guess I'm speaking, just so everyone has the deal. Right now, there's only 3 panelists, which is myself, Eric Hess, Mark Masunis, and Taylor Newman. Everybody else is here in view-only mode right now. If you do have questions, comments, or something you would like to add to the discussion, I believe there's a raise hand function on your Zoom window. And I see one attendee has raised their hand, which is Lu Liang. If you can raise your hand, then I am the only one who will allow you. I have to give you the permission to speak so we don't all start talking over each other. So there's a raise hand, lower hand function. And I see Matt Vance has his hand raised right now. So if you raise your hand, I'll kind of make a note of that, and I'll try to get to people as quickly as I can to open them up and allow them to speak and join the conversation.
Yeah, and Eric, I'll have to let you run that. I'm not, for some reason, I'm not seeing that.
I think that's only on me since I'm the host of the meeting. I think that's,
okay,
that's on my settings. Also, something that'll help me quite a bit, if you do want to speak, there is an option to chat. And if you can make sure that you chat to Hess, and that way I can at least read the chat and see what you have, and I can bring that up to the other 2 panelists. We can read your question and put it out for discussion. So that's all I've got. I'm going to try to just stay in the background, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up with this. And I apologize if I don't get to your raised hand quickly enough.
Okay, well, it is 1:02 now. I'll go ahead and start the meeting. And I do have an agenda item here for questions. So if we don't answer any of your questions at the beginning of the meeting, then you'll be able to definitely, we'll have a segment set aside for questions. I want to welcome everybody to the 2020 NIFA annual business meeting, or rather the conclusion of it that actually started a few weeks ago. Eric already kind of gave the introductions here. Your council has been meeting behind the scenes since our winter meeting, I believe it's in January. At that point, we weren't sure what was going on. This virus is just very new on the horizon. We weren't considering much, but we met a lot after that, and then that led up to obviously the cancellation of SAFECON 2020, which our executive director will get into a little bit later. One thing I wanted to mention, I'm hoping not stealing Taylor's thunder here, but Marty Coker had mentioned this is the first time that NIFA has canceled a competition since World War II. So we've been a pretty consistent organization along the way. I wanted to talk a little bit about why we did the meeting the way we did. We were concerned in our meetings with the council of how many people might be involved in a Zoom meeting and how hard that might be to conduct with questions and that sort of thing. So it was decided to kind of break it into segments. We started out with the discussion forum that allowed people to ask questions, and then we could provide answers for pretty much anything. We had the main discussions were obviously the bylaw change, as well as our candidates for student rep on the NIFA council. So the first segment was a discussion board that went for a couple of weeks. We had the vote, and we started that with this roll call. The idea of the roll call, we're a volunteer organization, and we have several individuals, they have full-time jobs as well. And I think just Adam Stifler, who runs our most of the web stuff with the help of I think Eric Hess and Testa, Jared Testa. I guess was the easiest way to put it is to verify who was doing the voting. So they did that via logging onto the roll call vote, and then they were able to verify that, and then those people were gained access to the vote after it opened. So that's why we conducted this meeting the way we did. This is the conclusion of it. We're going to give the results of the voting. We're going to have some comments from our executive director on the cancellation of this year's SAFECON, what's going on with SAFECON 2021, and he's going to make some mention of the logo contest and maybe some other comments as well. We'll take some questions, and then we'll go in with a closing. So the results of the vote, we had 21 school representatives signed up on the roll call. We had 15 that voted. They each get 5 votes each as a normal meeting. we would, as during the normal annual business meeting. So for the bylaw, we had 61 yes and 14 no. So the bylaw change has passed. For the student rep, we only had one candidate. It was Blake Anthematin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and all 75 votes went to Blake. So if Blake's on, welcome aboard. We enjoy. We're glad you decided to participate on the NIFA Council and be involved in the organization, and be looking forward to seeing you at the next council meeting. And actually, I think do we give an invitation? We'll see if we give an invitation, because we're going to have one at 3 o'clock via Zoom as well. All right, that's a conclusion of the voting. I'll hand it off to our Executive Director, Taylor Newman, and we'll have his comments and discussion. So,
yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good afternoon. Basically, just reading through some of the things that are bounding off some of the things Mark's already talked about. Yeah, it was the first time we've had a cancellation since NIFA has been in existence. Even in the previous history for the NIFC, with the only cessation being World War II for recent memory in that capacity. So it's really sad. But again, kind of feeling with everything else, Oshkosh is canceled this year. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have been canceled and changed in that capacity. We did still go forward with the logo contest. There was a vote by the once all the submissions were submitted there, and Daniel Jang was the proud artist representing. He's an alumni of LeTourneau University. So, and ironically, in different orders, however, he actually won the new NIFA logo, which will be revealed next year, and the 100th anniversary competition, which will also tweak and use next year as well. So LeTourneau gets a couple years worth of membership, and he got some cash to go spend and have a good time in that direction. The 2020, some behind the scenes work there. I graciously asked if we could keep moving if OSU would rescind their bid for 2021, resubmit it for 2022, which they did. And that left us with the EAA being able to host SAFECON 2021, which basically just bumped us down the road a little bit. We've had multiple conversations with EAA. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be there, a different area and venue for us to be at. And I think both sides, EAA and NIFA, have been wanting to have for us to host SAFECON at Oshkosh and on their side. And I think it'll be a great opportunity for 2021 rolls around. We'll see how the fall looks. We'll see how competition presents itself this fall and qualifications for the bids for that. But that's the plan moving forward for right now. So, but I think that was NIFA. Outside of that, solvent, stable. We had some sponsorship money we did return for SAFECON 2020. Some folks held theirs over for 2021 and still wanted to participate and willing to participate and moving forward from there. So I think the next few months we'll see where how the employment channels work for various regionals, what that looks like, how the majors look, and that may have change what sponsorship looks like in SAFECON 2021 for who's there with us and things like that. But we'll have to see as it presents and moves forward. So we're just one step ahead and moving forward from that. But all in all, I think we got a pretty good step forward for the fall, and coming into the council meeting, some discussions on some things that will happen this afternoon following this meeting to kind of wrap up, give some scope and shape of what this fall's competitions will look like. But I think that about wraps it up on my end. Thanks, Mark.
All right, very good. So now that was what we had as far as announcements and discussions. We're open to take any questions. If anybody has any questions about upcoming things with NIFA, what we've done, what we're going to do, that sort of thing, we'll take any questions anybody has. I know, Eric, I think you can raise your hand, and if not, you don't have to. We answered all your questions and we did our job, but of course.
Looks like we've got.
Oh, you cut your mic off, Eric.
There we go. Fixed.
All right.
Let me just unmute Scott Vlasic. He's raised his hand, so he
All right.
is. In
Scott,
theory,
go ahead.
he just needs to turn his mic off, and I think he'll be good to go.
All right, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Excellent. So thank you for the information. I'm just kind of curious about the fall semester or the fall planning, and at what point will you guys start to, I guess, get word out to all the schools on kind of what you're thinking for the fall? What criteria are you using to determine if the regionals are going to happen, and kind of that stuff?
All right. Well, actually, that's an agenda item for our council meeting this afternoon. I'm also going to ask all the council reps to stay in contact with all their member schools, because being as dynamic as the situation is, we need to get feedback on what are the schools going to be allowed to do, and would we be able to move some of the regionals to maybe the first part of next year. Some areas they may not be possible just because of weather concerns, but we're going to discuss that, like I said, today's council meeting. And we can only be reactionary to a certain amount of what the states and the schools are going to be allowed to do, and whether or not we'd be able to conduct regionals in the fall. So we're open to any and all ideas, obviously, and hopefully things will get to the point where we'll be able to conduct regionals, but that still remains to be seen in this. Unfortunately, it's very political, as well as dealing with the realities of the virus. So did that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you anticipate that if there's several schools that aren't able to travel, let's say, that it would be postponed for everyone, or just those? I mean, it's just going to impact the schools that can't go. I mean, have you guys had any discussion on anything like that?
Some, and we're going to have more discussion about that this afternoon. But that is one of our concerns. Like, how do we deal with that? There's also an idea of a type of virtual regional, and what form or that would take, again, will be under discussion. This is obviously all new for the organization, and we're working through ideas as we think of them. So that's, like I said, that's I wish I had all the answers, but we're early on, and how things progress as the year goes on will give us a better idea of what we're going to need to do, or what we're going to be allowed to do in order to continue with the regionals as well as next year's competition.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Scott. Anyone else? Any more questions? A few minutes. Eric, you see anyone?
Not right now. Looks like everyone still has their hands down, or they're frantically looking for the raise hand option, one of the two.
All right, we'll give a few more seconds here. I'll say in closing, we're going to endeavor to make this webinar available on the website. So you can tell the other member schools or anybody you encounter, we'll put a message out that it's available, so people can come and watch it on demand. Again, I want you, everyone that's here, keep in contact with your region reps. Let us know what's going on with your schools, what restrictions you may or may not have. Again, the more information we have, the better will be to be able to do what we need to do in the fall, and as well as next year's SAFECON. All options are on the table. If you have ideas for a type of virtual, which would be obviously just ground events, or pushing the regionals into first part of next year, we're in new territory here, so we are open to any and all ideas to conduct things as we go forward. If there's no more questions, Eric, then I want to thank everyone for participating today. Our council is going to meet this afternoon, and we'll probably have several more meetings between now and the fall. And as we get more information, we'll probably have some impromptu meetings on the council as well. We'll try to keep everyone informed as we know what happens going forward and what we're going to do as an organization. I want to thank everybody for participating, and hope we find everyone well, and be safe out there, and we'll see you at the next competition. Thank you.
All right, we'll close the meeting on that note. Take care, everyone, and we'll see the council members on board shortly for the council meeting at 3 o'clock.